You can buy uranium online using this website. And there's actually a way to rob a bank completely legally. The world is full of loopholes and sketchy schemes, and today I'm going to tell you some of the most ridiculous and insane ones that we could find. Like a way to drive as fast as you want and never get caught speeding. I'm Mike with List 25, and I'm about to give you 25 facts that feel illegal to know. Probably going to need a lawyer after this one. Facial recognition is usually marketed as unbreakable, but researchers at Carnegie Mellon University proved that a regular printer and a silly pair of glasses can throw it off completely. They developed a special tortoiseshell pattern that, when printed and stuck onto glasses frames, scrambled the way facial recognition software maps your face, making it essentially useless. The team presented their findings at a top security conference in 2016 and even joked that a pair of Groucho Marx glasses might do something similar. It won't make you disappear completely, and it doesn't work on all systems, but still, the fact that advanced surveillance tech can be derailed with a cheap printout is kind of good to know, I think. Let's talk about how weirdly easy it is to order dangerous stuff online. An 18-year-old once bought potassium cyanide with a credit card legally. In the US, there's no full ban on mailing chemicals like cyanide or arsenic. If it's not on a restricted list, lab suppliers will just ship it. And here's where it gets even crazier. You can also legally buy uranium. A man in Pennsylvania once ordered a small vial of uranium-238 to his halfway house just so he could pose with it on Facebook. Hazmat showed up, but no one arrested him. It was completely legal. Both cases fall under a strange rule. If the amount is small and not weapons grade, it's fair game. Great for science class, slightly terrifying for everyone else. Now, dangerous chemicals aren't the only thing you can legally get your hands on. If you want a prepaid burner phone, you can walk into stores like Walmart or Target, pay cash, and walk out without giving your name. No ID, no questions, no paperwork. There is currently no US law that requires these phones, or their SIM cards, to be registered to a person at the time of purchase. In other words, it's perfectly within the rules to buy an untraceable phone. What you do with it afterward? Well, that's your business. But simply buying and owning one is totally within the law. Now, not all loopholes are online. Some sit right on your dashboard. Radar detectors are legal in almost every US state, allowing you to know when a police car is nearby. Cops have radar guns that emit a signal, and it's completely legal to use a device to pick these up. Except for specifically in Virginia and Washington, D.C., you can buy and use a radar or laser detector in your car without breaking any laws. That includes all other states and Puerto Rico. Some places like California and Minnesota have rules about where you can mount them, but, well, that's about it. Just don't block your view and you're fine. This tech is so powerful that people use them in what's known as the Cannonball Run, a giant race across the entire US where the aim is to go as fast as possible without getting caught. So yeah, you are allowed to scan for cops' radar guns while cruising down the highway, rolling through the suburbs, dropping your kids off at school, or going for a perfectly safe, perfectly slow drive in your bright red McLaren. Still, not every power move involves horsepower. It's not a well-known fact, but here in the US, you are not actually required to stop and show your receipt on the way out of a store unless the staff have a real reason to suspect you of stealing. It's called shopkeeper's privilege, and it only applies when a store employee has probable cause. In other words, if you're just walking out of the store like a normal person and nobody's accusing you of anything, you are free to ignore the receipt checker entirely. They cannot detain you, block your path, or force you to prove you paid for your items. However, stay decent. There's no need to cause a scene if they ask you for it. And while I'm on the subject of knowing your rights, this one is a biggie. Here in the US, you are allowed to record police officers in public. Both the courts and the ACLU have made it crystal clear. If you are in a place where you are allowed to be, you can record anything in plain view, including officers doing their job. That means a cop can't arrest you just for filming them. As long as you're not interfering or getting in their way, you are well within your rights. So whether it's a traffic stop, a protest, or something going on down the sidewalk, you can absolutely pull out your phone. Just be smart about it. Recording is legal, but if you're blocking a scene or getting confrontational, you will get in trouble. Cops need a warrant to track your car with GPS, but what happens when the surveillance flips the other way? According to a 2012 Supreme Court ruling, if the police want to attach a GPS tracker to your car, for whatever reason, they need a warrant first. The case, United States v. Jones, made it clear that planting a tracker counts as a search, and searches need judicial approval. It doesn't matter if your car is parked in a driveway, a parking lot, or outside your ex's house, they still need that warrant. Otherwise, it's a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights. So yeah, if someone's watching where you go, they had better have a judge's signature backing it up. If they don't, it could get the entire case thrown out. On a totally different note, there's a quiet little corner of the internet where vending machine keys are just for sale. I know, right? Sites like Amazon, eBay, and vending supply stores openly list keys like the 1452, a universal key that works across many vending machines of the same model. They're marketed to legit operators who lose their keys or need backups, but because so many machines use standardized locks, one key often opens dozens. Which is totally great if you run 10 snack machines and want to travel light. Less great if someone decides to take a 5-finger discount on Funyuns. That's why operators are usually urged to upgrade their locks or to get unique keys, because not everyone's buying them with replacements for their lost ones in mind. Of course, there's also the fact that you can legally put a train horn on your car. Why anyone would want to do this is an entirely different question. But yes, it's allowed in plenty of US states, provided you're careful about how you use it. The horn itself isn't illegal, but most states have rules against blasting something that loud unless it's a genuine emergency. In places like California, you can install one, but if it doesn't meet noise standards, using it could get you fined. In Texas or Georgia, it's allowed as part of an alarm system, but not as your go-to traffic horn. That said, these things hit 150 decibels. That is jet engine loud. So if you really need an excuse to use it, maybe try a drive-through just to give the staff a very advanced heads up. Or hey, blast it at a wedding instead of tossing rice. It'll be unorthodox, but very memorable. Just to be clear, all of those were jokes. Please do not get arrested at a wedding or at a drive-through. Surprisingly, it's also perfectly legal in the US to own and use a police radio scanner. As a result of a 1934 law that made America's airwaves public property, everyone is welcome to listen to police, fire, and EMS chatter without breaking a single rule. It's one of those weird little legal gray areas that isn't gray at all. As long as you're not using what you hear to commit a crime or interfere with emergency services, you're good. I should also point out that there is no law stopping you from parking a tank in your driveway. If it's decommissioned, you're in luck. There are no federal laws preventing private ownership, but the main gun has to be demilitarized. Now, if you're thinking about keeping that cannon operational, that's a whole different story. The gun would be classified as a destructive device under the National Firearms Act, and you would need a federal permit, have to go for a deep background check, and pay a hefty tax. But it is possible. As for driving it on public roads, well, not likely. Most tanks fail safety standards and can wreck the average city street pavement, but a few states allow it with modifications. Just be willing to add rubber tracks, lights, and so on. Do you own a tank? Let me know in the comments below. Now, let's shift from military hardware to outer space. Did you know that any work created by the US federal government is automatically public domain? That means all those incredible NASA photos are completely free to use. Spacewalks, rocket launches, Mars rover selfies, you can download them, remix them, slap them on a t-shirt, or set them as your phone background without breaking a single copyright law. The only catch? Make sure it's actually NASA's work. Some galleries include third-party content like astronauts posing with celebrities or branded equipment, but if it came from NASA's cameras, you can use it to your heart's content. Moving on. In most US states, it's not against the law to buy, own, or even carry lockpicking tools like tension wrenches and rakes with you. You don't need a permit. It doesn't have any license requirements. As long as you're not using them to break into something that doesn't belong to you, you are in the clear. In fact, there's a whole community of lockpicking fans, hobbyists, and amateur locksmiths who treat it like a fun-filled sport. Naturally, if you get caught using those tools during a break-in, well, that's a different story. I mean, intent is everything. But if you're just buying a practice kit off Amazon for your own fun or education, it's totally legal. Things get even stranger when we move from lockpicking tools to actual weapons. In the US, if you buy a firearm from a private seller, not a licensed dealer, there is no federal rule saying they have to check your background. That's what people mean when they talk about the gun show loophole. But it's not just about gun shows. It applies to any private sale, whether you're buying from a buddy, someone off Craigslist, or a fellow member at the local range. Licensed dealers have to follow federal rules on background checks and paperwork. Private sellers? Unless their state steps in with its own laws, well, they're off the hook. As of now, only 17 states and Washington, D.C. actually require background checks for private gun sales. Step outside the US and the rules shift a bit. In England and Wales, police can walk up to you and ask who you are, but unless they're actually detaining or arresting you, you do not have to answer them. It's known as a stop and count. Officers can ask you your name, what you're up to, or why you're in the area, but you are completely within your rights to say, no thanks, keep on moving. You are only legally required to show ID if they've got a valid reason to detain you, which means in most normal day-to-day encounters, you can say nothing at all. And that silence on its own doesn't count as suspicious or illegal. Not to be outdone, Portugal decriminalized something that still puts people in prison in other parts of the world. In 2001, they decriminalized the personal use of all drugs. That includes everything, even the stuff I am not allowed to mention at the risk of getting demonetized. As long as you're carrying less than a 10-day supply, it is not treated as a crime. It's more like getting a traffic ticket. So if you're caught with a small amount, you won't be arrested. You might get a fine or be asked to show up for a health assessment, but that's about it. The goal is to reduce harm, not throw people in jail. To be clear, trafficking and large-scale possession are still crimes, obviously. But if you're under the threshold, you will not be going to court or prison for it. Okay, let's talk about the only US state where buckling up is not required. As of now, New Hampshire is the only state in the country that doesn't require its residents to wear a seatbelt if they are over 18. There won't be any tickets, no warnings, nothing. Seatbelts save lives. We all know that. But in New Hampshire, it's seen as a personal choice. Kids under 18 still have to wear one, but if you're an adult, the law leaves it up to you. The holdout reflects the state's famously libertarian motto, live free or die. Still, it's not hard to wonder with all the data we have, who's really fighting the seatbelt? Meanwhile, in Sweden, the outdoors includes people's private property. Thanks to a concept called allemansrätten, or the right to roam, everyone in Sweden is allowed to hike, camp, or forage on private land without asking permission. You can stroll through forests, pitch a tent for a night, or pick wild berries and mushrooms, even if the land technically belongs to someone else. And honestly, it works. The rules are simple. Don't damage anything, don't disturb anyone, and give houses and farmland a wide berth. Now, no one's saying you can camp next to someone's laundry line, but if you're just enjoying nature respectfully, you're welcome to do so. It's the kind of thing that sounds completely insane if you're from a country full of no trespassing signs, but in Sweden, it's just normal. Then again, not every open system is built on honesty. In scientific studies or research, there's a tactic called p-hacking, and it lets researchers twist results without faking a single number. All it takes is running enough statistical tests until something, anything, shows up as significant. That one result gets published, while the rest gets ignored. Sometimes they even drop inconvenient data points that mess with the story. The final study looks polished, passes peer review, and nobody's asking what got left out. It's not fraud from a technical point of view, but it is a quiet way to lie with statistics, and it happens more often than you think. Because from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. That is true from a certain point of view. If bending the truth works in science, it's even easier in gaming. You don't need to be a genius to hack or outright clone a video game. If a game was made with a common engine like Unity or Unreal and the developer didn't lock things down properly, someone can rip the code, swap out the graphics, and re-release it as their own. And that's just the cloning side. Tools like Cheat Engine let anyone edit game memory values right on their own PC. No coding needed. Infinite Gold? Done. God Mode? 2 clicks. Mobile games get hit even harder. People decompile the files, tweak the insides, and repackage them as modded versions. It's almost routine. Which kind of makes you wonder how many games you've played that were already hacked. Germany has its own version of freedom, and it starts with the gas pedal. On the Autobahn, certain stretches have no speed limit whatsoever. You can push your car to the limits. Just put your foot down and go. But weirdly, stopping on the side of the road is not allowed. Running out of gas is technically considered illegal parking. Then there's the drinking side. Germany doesn't make a big deal out of public drinking. Open container laws? Practically non-existent. You can walk around with a beer or sip one as a passenger in a car. Even driving shirtless isn't illegal. Just don't assume that no speed limit means no rules. On the other hand, the US might not hand you the keys to the Autobahn, but it will hand you someone's full divorce file. Real estate sales and divorce filings are public record in most states. That means you can look up what someone paid for their house and whether they're in the middle of a nasty split. Just hit up your local county clerk or property appraiser site. Most counties let you search by address and view full sale histories, ownership details, and even mortgage amounts. Some go even further and show the lender's name. As for divorces, unless the case is sealed, which isn't common, records can include everything from financial settlements to custody plans. And yeah, sometimes even infidelity claims. Okay, it's time for something far less personal, but somehow way more shameless. If you Google Pizza Hut, there is a decent chance a Domino's ad will pop up offering 30% or even 50% off. It's basic paid ads and marketing warfare. And yeah, it's a real thing. Marketers have flagged it on LinkedIn, training blogs, and deal forums going back years. Domino's literally buys ads on Pizza Hut's name so their discount shows up before Pizza Hut's own website. The best part is, you don't even have to do anything weird. Just running the search is enough to trigger the offer. It doesn't show for everyone every time. It depends on what ads are running in your area, but when it does, you found yourself a legal ambush with extra cheese. Actually, let me know your favorite toppings in the comments below for pizza. When I go to Blaze, I do the mozzarella pearls, white sauce, regular crust, bacon, roasted red peppers, roasted garlic, onions, balsamic drizzle. It's fantastic. This video not brought to you by Blaze Pizza. From pizza ambushes to pool paranoia, did you know that the whole pee in the pool and it turns blue thing is a total myth? If you did, don't tell us why. I'm kidding. But it does feel kind of illegal to know, doesn't it? There's no magic dye that keeps an eye on swimmers. It's just a scare tactic. Even the National Swimming Pool Foundation calls it the most common pool myth of all time. But while you won't get caught in a blue cloud, your pee isn't exactly untraceable. When it mixes with chlorine, it creates chloramines, the stuff that causes red eyes and strong chlorine smell. So no, the water won't turn blue, but if the pool reeks and your eyes are burning, well, someone definitely peed. Lining a shopping bag with aluminum foil can block the radio signals used by many store anti-theft tags. That's why shoplifters sometimes use so-called booster bags, totes lined with foil to sneak items past the sensors. But before you start eyeing your kitchen drawer, keep in mind, stores are onto this. Many have upgraded sensors, cameras, and staff trained to spot the bags themselves. In a lot of states, just carrying one can count as intent to steal, even if you haven't taken a thing. So yes, it works. And yes, it'll absolutely get you arrested. Well, now that I've finished this list, which of these do you think people really shouldn't know about? Like, the kind of stuff that's legal but probably shouldn't be? Drop it in the comments. I am always lurking and actually kind of curious to see what you'd strike from the record. And if you're still in the mood to learn stuff that doesn't sound real but totally is, check out our related video, 150 mind-blowing facts you won't believe are true. It is unhinged in the best possible way. As always, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and I'll see you next time. Preferably not using aluminum foil for anything suspicious. I'm on to you. Also, I rearranged my office, so now when I have to exit, I gotta go that way. How weird.